Gris has been done to death. Despite my best attempts at creating a trophy hunting psychopath with poor dental hygiene and serious mom issues, I couldn't make the guy scary. He was simply banal, which probably is true of most serial killers. One day, just before graduation, on a train from Maine to New York to interview for a job in journalism, I thought I'd pass the time by trying to write a detective story. I began sketching out an imaginary village on the pages of a shiny blue notebook I'd bought at the station bookstore, along with a guidebook to the south of France. In my first draft, I called the place Caranac, a real village and a beautiful spot I've visited since. If anyone living in Caranac recognizes facets of their village and thinks I'm writing about them, let me say here that the people of Caranac are too nice to commit any crimes. I did appropriate the village church and the personality of its priest and some real houses and shops, but I moved them around as needed for my plot, like pieces on a Monopoly board. I had recently read a few of the Maigret books of Georges Simenon and been bowled over by the simplicity of the language, the stories which could only have been set in France, the characters who could exist nowhere else. He didn't have to tell the reader where he was. The giveaways were the trips to the boulangerie to buy baguettes, the travel by Paris Metro, the casual mention of the Arc de Triomphe. It didn't take a genius to throw those things into a story, of course, but unique to Simenon was the sophisticated, offhand way he described the world around him. Everything in his world was remarkable, and yet it just was. I didn't get the journalism job, but I soon landed the ideal position for a crime novelist, an entry-level spot in D.C. The low pay offering just enough struggle to survive to be incentivizing. The dullness of my duties freed up my headspace for what I saw as my real work. The job consisted of 35 hours a week writing advertising and promotional copy for a newspaper that could have been written by a gifted 6-year-old. Both the copy and the newspaper. My output consisted largely of documenting the paper's circulation numbers, and as those numbers rose and fell, I would be called upon to update the promo copy in much the way a firefighter would be called to a blaze. Over 4 million readers might have to be changed to nearly 4 million readers, depending. If I got particularly bored, I might try changing it up to 4 million readers worldwide, but that required approval from marketing, so mostly I played it safe. It really was stupendously boring, and only my secret writing life, which began at 4 a.m. each day, saved me. When the circulation figures fell to 3.7 million, and most of my colleagues began openly updating their resumes, I doubled down on my pre-dawn mystery writing. As I had no savings, this was a reckless gamble, but by the time the layoffs got started, I had landed a 3-book publishing contract. I quit the copywriting job and began writing all day in my local library. This was in the early internet days, when the library was still a quiet place to work, before programs like Toddler Rock and Read had been invented and Barnes & Noble was still a store stuffed with books rather than toys. I spent many hours there too, or in Olson's Books and Records, a now defunct local chain. The word records in Olson's title tells you how long ago this was. By immersing myself in guides and photo books, I was able to create a village in the Dordogne, not too large, as it was necessary to keep the suspects to manageable numbers, and not too small, so there would be a variety of cruel or foolish or plain unlucky people to kill off. This setting gave me enormous pleasure, a place I could sink into, a place into which I could disappear. The Dordogne, as you probably know, is in southwest France, in a region between the Loire Valley and the Pyrenees, and famous for its prehistoric cave paintings. That was good. I thought I might work that into a plot one day. Not an art theft mystery for obvious reasons. Stealing cave paintings would be tricky. But perhaps a crotchety, misogynistic archaeologist might meet his fate in one of the grottos there. I decided to call my village Villeneuve-Sainte-Marie. Only much later did I realize Caranac, on which it was based, was in the Lot, not the Dordogne, but no one ever called me on it, proving no one paid